Hello everyone, I wish you all a happy and joyful new day with your family. Today I will bring you a story that continues the content of the previous story. Note that the images and content of the story are not related to each other and the content of the story is just imaginary and not real. If you listen to it and find it interesting, please give me a like and a channel subscription so I can continue. Now please listen. In the primordial eons, before the tectonic plates carved continents into the flesh of the earth, when the oceans existed as one vast, unbroken expanse, and the heavens shimmered with stars yet unnamed by any sentient mind, time itself was nothing more than a formless haze drifting like mist between what was and what might be. In that distant unformed era, a fracture appeared, not in land or sky, but between the fundamental layers of existence. It was not a crack that could be seen with eyes or measured by instruments, but a rupture in reality itself, where the veil separating what is from what should never be grew dangerously thin. From that fissure, they emerged, not by walking or crawling, for they had no limbs, not with sound or light, for they had no voice and cast no reflection. They came as pure presence, an ancient aberration, seeping into the world like oil into water, like shadows into the cracks of dawn. They were not gods to be worshipped, nor demons to be cast out. They were other beyond comprehension, beyond naming, beings without origin or end. They hailed from a void deeper than the darkest abyss, a place where light had never dared enter and time had never dared linger. It was there, in that silence louder than screams, that they first stirred, not audibly, not visibly, but through a pulse, a psychic gravity, perceptible only to the broken souls that had long since forgotten their own humanity. Beneath what is now Monterey Bay, long buried under ancient strata, forgotten geology and silenced tectonics, lies the submerged city of Ul'Zereth. This was not a city born of human civilization. No hands laid its stones, no minds conceived its architecture. It was formed from cosmic high stone dust and ash from stars that died before Earth had cooled, fused with the memories of extinct intelligences, memories so distant they no longer belonged to anything that could be called alive. Ul'Zereth was a nexus, the only known city of overlapping dimensions, where time bled into itself and reality warped at the edges. Here lived the Azkan known in Forbiddance whispers as the Riverside Ones. These beings had no hunger, no need for sleep, no desire, no movement. They simply were statues of flesh and void, forever still, eternally listening. At the city's core sat the dark cradle, a living black hole, not metaphorical, but sentient. It pulsed like a heart, yet birthed no life, only phenomena, formless, nameless, purposeless occurrences that defied the very concept of existence, waiting only for the right moment to be born. But the world was not always ignorant. In an age before records, before written language or spoken legend, there existed sorcerers humanoid in shape but not in spirit, eldritch ancestors of mankind. These were beings who had seen the rise of mountains and the fall of civilizations never known. Through blood inheritance and primal intuition, they discovered Ul'Zereth, and they feared it, not with superstition, but with the intimate terror of knowing. They enacted a sealing ritual unlike any known to present knowledge, one that demanded not only death, but the surrender of the soul. They carved a monolithic pillar, the Broken Fang, from the blood of the touched and the damned. It was plunged into the city's heart like a stake, inscribed with runes written in the lifeblood of those who had heard the whispers and lived only long enough to beg others to turn away. The Broken Fang rose from the seabed like the jagged tooth of a forgotten titan, grotesque in form yet undeniably sacred. Those who completed the ritual did not survive in the traditional sense. They merged with the ocean, became spectral guardians, ghostly sentinels adrift in the kelp forests, warning any who dared approach with whispers, illusions, and dreams soaked in dread. But time, relentless and cruel, buried their efforts. What was once knowledge became myth, myth turned to folklore, folklore to jest. The ritual was lost, the runes faded from memory. The Broken Fang, once feared, became a curious anomaly on seafloor scans, ignored, dismissed, irrelevant, until a tremor came. One moonless night, a quake so minor it escaped all detection struck beneath Monterey Bay. The ancient seal cracked imperceptibly, but undeniably. And what slept beneath began to stir. There was no roar, no quake, no cataclysm. Just changes. Fish vanished from once steaming waters. Birds flew in impossible spirals. Bubbles rose from untouched depths. The world noticed but did not understand. Elias Hargrove did, or rather, something within her did. A young woman living by the bay, Etta began to draw unfamiliar symbols on her bedroom walls. No one taught them to her, no book contained them. But they matched perfectly the runes carved into the broken fang. She heard lullabies beneath her bed, tuneless, wordless, yet irresistible. Her eyes darkened, the whites swallowed by infinite black. Spirals filled her sketchbooks, blackened seashells formed altars beneath her bed. One night, her mother found her on the shore, unmoving, staring into the abyssal water, as if communing with something rising to meet her. She vanished that night, no footprints, no sounds. Only a single blank page left behind, circled in blood and runes that twisted the mind. But her story did not end. Etta was gone, but her lineage endured. Elias Hargrove, captain of the deep-sea exploration vessel Mariana's Dream, bore her blood, and in his veins, something whispered. The deep had not forgotten, it had only waited. And when Elias finally descends into those depths, when his submersible's lights cut through the void like knives through silk, he will see reflections that do not belong to him. He will hear sounds that do not travel through water. He will know that the abyss does not merely gaze back but recognizes him. And he will begin to wonder, as the darkness wraps around him like an old memory, what if the horror beneath is not alien? What if it is home? Okay, the story ends here. Please like and subscribe to the channel to wait for the next story. Now, goodbye and see you again.